Hey guys, it's Lavanya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be the first video in my series, Guide to be a CS Major. So before we get into my journey at Cornell, I want to give you guys a quick introduction to how I got started with computer science before Cornell. So in high school, in my sophomore year, I took AP Computer Science. Really liked that class. So at that point, I had almost decided that that's what I wanted to do. When I was applying to colleges, I was sort of on the fence between computer science and chemical engineering. I decided to just apply as a CS major because in most colleges it didn't really matter. I just applied to the engineering school, which is what I did for Cornell. So then once I started Cornell, I decided to go through the CS track. I decided to take classes that I needed specifically for the CS major just to sort of try it out. So my freshman year, I took 2 CS classes. I took object-oriented programming with Java. It's the second intro course offered at Cornell, and then I took discrete structures. So my journey at Cornell was, I could basically split it into different categories. The classes that I took, all the CS requirements, all of those things, and then the things that I did outside those classes, which is actually very important, and I'm planning on making a whole new series of videos on this. And then also what I did like outside of Cornell, and these are things like internships. Focusing on classes first, I basically came in with a lot of AP credits when I started Cornell, so I was able to place out of a lot of intro engineering classes like chem, physics, and I think the first 2 calculus requirements, and then a few other like liberal studies courses, stuff like that. So I basically came in almost as a sophomore. The classes I was taking were mostly 2000 level classes and higher during my freshman year. Coming into Cornell, one of the things that I realized was how large the major was, how many different smaller areas that it could be divided into, and how different these areas are. There's machine learning, there's like databases, system stuff, compilers, all sorts of things. So, and I had no clue what exactly I wanted to focus on. So basically throughout Cornell, I took tons and tons of electives just to figure out what I was interested in. It was pretty helpful. Some classes I liked better than others. Like I didn't really like my database class that much, but I liked my machine learning class and I liked distributed systems. They all helped me figure out exactly what I was interested in. And even if I'm never going to use them again, they're still helpful. It's still very helpful knowing what these different topics are. Other than that, my course load and classes that I chose were pretty straightforward. You sort of receive this degree requirements from your school telling you exactly what you need to do to complete your degree, and I just sort of went through that path at my pace. And I can make another video about exactly what classes I took and how I decided what electives I wanted to take. If you guys are interested in that, like comment below and let me know. So moving on to what I did outside of classes, but at Cornell. Freshman year, I basically didn't have a lot of qualifications to do things like project teams. Project teams are basically these clubs that focus on a specific project, and these aren't necessarily tech focused. There's a lot of projects about that combine a lot of different disciplines, like all sorts of engineering disciplines, like mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, and they also have like little business teams to promote this project, promote the product that they're working on. So my freshman year, I basically started doing like little projects just on my own, just little side projects, like super basic things like a GPA calculator, and then I made like an iPhone app that helps me learn music notes better. So I play the piano, and one thing that I've always struggled with is like reading notes really fast, so I basically created an app to help me do that. And side projects are something that's super helpful because you don't have to rely on anyone to start doing them. So these clubs and other projects, you sort of have to get into them, like you have to interview or you have to apply, you have to do things like that. But side projects are something that you can just take up on your own and start working on your own. You can learn a ton from them. You can even get a group of friends together and do a side project on your own. So my sophomore year, I joined a student org at Cornell called Women in Computing at Cornell. I know I said Cornell like 3 times in the last 30 seconds. Anyway, my sophomore year, I joined as Alumni Relations Director, and my job was basically to reach out to alumni, keep in touch with them, connect them to current undergrads. It was really cool being part of a student org. I got to meet a lot of new people who were part of my major, and I got to practice communication skills, leadership skills. There's just a ton of benefits to being part of an org. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend that you guys don't just like take classes and do nothing else. I highly recommend going out there, finding clubs that you're interested in, whether related or not related to your major. Another thing that I started doing my sophomore year was I was a teaching assistant, and basically all you really need as a qualification is you should have taken the class and gotten a pretty good grade in it. And it's super helpful. It helps you get a deep understanding of the material, helps you get closer to the professor, meet other TAs. There's just a ton of benefits, and get paid, of course. There's just a ton of benefits to being a TA, so I highly recommend that. So my junior year, I decided that I had a lot of CS things going on already, and I didn't add anything new to that mix. But what I did was I joined a dance team. It's a Bollywood fusion dance team called Cornell Sitara. And I guess until that point, I was sort of focused on like CS, like all I want to do is CS. And then my junior year, I just sort of wanted to try something different. I had a friend in this dance team. I already knew a couple people in it, so it was a super cool transition. And like looking back, I'm super glad that I did it. It's like basically the only thing that I did at Cornell that is not related to my major. So super fun experience. We did a lot of performances throughout the year. And yeah, so this is also something that I recommend if you guys can spare the time to do something outside of your major. Moving on to the third part that I wanted to focus on in this video, which is internships. And this is the big question. I can make like multiple videos on this topic: how to get internships, how to prepare for an interview, how to find internships, all sorts of things. But for this video, I'll focus on what exactly I did. So my freshman year fall semester, which is something that I forgot to mention, I enrolled in this iOS development class. And this was taught by a project team at Cornell called CU App Dev, and basically all they do is build all sorts of iOS apps. So they basically had this course, I think it was like 10 weeks or so, where they taught us how to create a basic iOS app and then do like basic features on it and stuff like that. So my spring semester, this project team sent out an email that there's a startup called Spectrums that Cornell students started, and they were looking for interns to help them out with this project. And it was a very small startup. I think it was only like 7 or 8 people at the time. So yeah, I like applied for it and interviewed. It was during the semester. I would meet up with them every week or every other week to go over my progress, and I was just helping them build a few features on their iOS app. So after that, after my freshman year, I did an internship as a software engineering intern at Infinera, which is a small tech company in the Bay Area, and I got to meet a lot of interns, learn a lot about their journey. So overall, it was pretty good, I think, for my freshman year. My sophomore year, the way that I found my internship was I was actually referred by someone I knew. I enrolled in WIC's mentorship program my freshman spring semester, and my mentor there was about to work at Microsoft as an intern. So she referred me for the following summer, which would be like the summer after my sophomore year. I went ahead and interviewed, and we had one on-campus interview at Cornell, and then I had another interview where they flew in all the candidates to their Seattle office, and that was a really cool experience too. And I can talk all about this in a whole new video. So yeah, so there were 2 total interviews, and I got the internship, and that's the one that I ended up choosing. So Microsoft was a really cool experience because it was my first internship at a big tech company, and it was really cool seeing just how large projects were like broken up into teams, and it was really cool seeing how these teams stay in sync, how basically the whole workflow of a project, just start to finish, how it usually works. Just like getting a gist of that from working at a big company, I feel like that was a really good experience. My junior year, I took an internship at 2 Sigma, which is a hedge fund based in New York City. And that was a really cool experience because it was a smaller company than Microsoft. So I was able to see the differences between like big versus small company. And I decided I actually liked working at a small company better. And yeah, so it was also really cool seeing tech used for a different application, because before that I had only worked at companies where the main product is software, where the main product was technology. So it was really cool seeing tech used for a different application, in this case finance. So I can actually make a whole new video on my internship experiences and like explain the differences between a big company and a small company, finance versus like pure tech company, all sorts of things. So if that's something that you guys would be interested in, please comment that below. Thank you guys for watching this video. That was a lot of fun to make, and I plan on making more videos in this series about what different things you could do outside your classes as a CS major. Basically everything that I touched on today, but more suggestions on like how to get involved in those things. So if you guys have any questions or if you have any suggestions for future video ideas, please comment those below. Like and subscribe to this video, tell all of your computer science friends, and I'll see you guys next time.